Good evening. Welcome to the Late Late Show with me, Irish Tommy. As always, thanks for joining. And we're going to be getting into all things West Ham, such as it is. I won't be on my own. I'll have my old friend Gatesy with me. How are you doing, bud?
I'm all right, mate. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm relaxed. I'm very relaxed. I'm on my last week off work for this year before
Nice.
the Christmas madness, So I've been pretty chilled all this week.
Christmas madness. Oh, God. Turkey, wrapping paper, all of the shenanigans.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, like, you got this like huge build up, and then like it's just like that, it's gone. It's
Sounds like my sex life.
yeah. I was just gonna say all that build up, and then it's over before you know it.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, because my
Well,
problem
I'm
is,
probably
but
getting the
see,
missus looking at me.
yeah, see, my problem too is I'm getting older. It's like a slow puncture.
Yeah, I know the feeling.
But I'm
Oh,
gonna do
yeah.
a quick shout out. We'll see who's in the house with us. Um, Oh, hold on, Maltese Hammer. How you doing, Maltese? Good to see you.
Hello, mate.
KPWH, you weather's trying a bit cold lately. Lawrence Watkins. Lawrence is always here, as ever,
Larry.
from Lexington, Kentucky, in the
Mm.
good old US of A. Toby's in the house. Possibly the best name show ever. I don't know. It's a contender. Just one Cornet-To. So we'll talk about that in a minute. Um, Paul Evans, evening, mate. How you doing? Jay Bogue, good to see you, mate. Mark Watson as well in the house. Uh, Steve Brown, Mark Brown. Don't know if they're related. Um, Good to see you all. Thanks for joining. Um, so yeah, I wanted to get into this corny thing, right? This to me is a bit of a weird one. The whole corny one. I can't quite wrap my head around it. When we first signed him, I thought actually that was a really good signing because he had a cracking season for Burnley in a relegation season. They were really poor that season, but he was kind of one of the very few shining lights, and he was their most shining light. I mean, he had the goals and assists he got in a relegated team was really impressive. His performances were excellent. Um, so I thought, 17 million, I thought that's a really tidy bit of business. Really tidy bit of business. I thought he was going to be a real player for us, a real asset. And it started off okay. He was playing well. He looked very lively, obviously lightning pace. Um, Very unluckily had a goal chalked off at Stamford Bridge, which shouldn't have
Yeah.
been chalked off. And you could see he was a real live wire. He looked a danger. He was causing defenses problems. Then he gets the injury. Initially, it looked like it was just going to be a routine injury, wouldn't be out for too long, just a bit of an ankle injury, nothing too bad. And then it turned out to be far more complicated. He was over to France for treatment for a few weeks, then came back. Obviously, wasn't right in training when he got back. Had to be sent back to France for further treatment. Eventually, got back, and he's been back since, basically. So I thought when he came back, all right, he's maybe going to have to bide his time a little bit because Ben Rama by that time, was the first choice left midfielder. Um, but we're still no further along with Cornet at this point, despite the fact, that Ben Rama has not been good this season, and Cornet just can barely get any minutes. It's very small cameo roles in the dying minutes of some games, and I don't really understand why, because there is absolutely a player there. I still think he's a very good player. He would be a huge upgrade on the left of midfield on Ben Rama, in my opinion. He needs a run of games. I don't think Paqueta should be playing on the left, even though Paqueta plays well on the left because he's just a brilliant footballer. But Paqueta should be central, and for me, Cornet should have been given a run on that left hand side to see, right, what have we got here? Can we get the Maxwell Cornet that we knew previously? Um, but it seems to me, Gates, we're in this bizarre position where we're probably just going to move Cornet on. either in January or next summer, and we haven't really seen him being given any kind of a chance to establish himself as a West Ham player. It's just very bizarre to me that he cannot get a look in.
Yeah, I'm the same as you, Tom. I mean, when we signed him, I was quite excited. You know, here was a guy that had raw pace. He was direct. He'd had a season in the Premier League to acclimatise. He'd played really well in a struggling team that ended up going down. Yeah, sorry about that, Larry. Back on topic.
That's
Yeah, I
why I
mean,
can only. That's why I can only have Gatesy on after the watershed.
oh dear, my reputation precedes me. Um,
Yeah,
Back on the topic. So yeah, I mean, he came in quick, pacey, direct. He played well for a Burnley team that had struggled. I remember talking to Dan of Turf Moorhouse TV, the Burnley YouTube channel, and
yeah,
he turned around at the time, and I remember him saying it. He turned around and said, "You've got a diamond there, Gatesy," and I was like, okay, that's I would consider to be a glowing recommendation. So he obviously started the season. He got a couple of assists. I remember him getting one or two for Skamaka. Remember him? Um, he got a couple of assists. And then, like you say, he got the injury. It was a bit of a weird injury. And he doesn't really seem to have recovered from that. And I mean, I take the point about what Paul says in the chat about the offsides. Yes, that is, I've got to say, that is something that does frustrate me on the
yeah.
limited
But still, I mean,
opportunities
that's
he's
hardly
had.
an excuse for bidding him off, really.
No. I'm not for 1 minute saying that's a reason to sort of not play him. It is a frustration, but it wouldn't be enough for me to say you can't use him. So
Yeah, but
it's
that's just a
only
simple like the offsides are a simple communication issue, right? His teammates have got to understand, okay, this guy's actually absolutely fucking lightning. And when he
mm,
runs, we've got to make that pass early to keep him
yeah,
on side.
yeah. No,
Um,
I get
that's
that, but
something that can be cleaned up.
the only thing it leads me to the conclusion is that for whatever reason, and rightly or wrongly, David Moyes clearly doesn't trust him. Because if he did, as you say, the left hand side has been a little bit of a problem position for a good number of seasons. It isn't something that's a recent thing. You know, we've put Ben Rama there, we've put Fornals there, we're now putting Paquetá there. And I don't think it's ever really been a position that we've got someone that we can say that is our starting left-sided player. On the right, it's Bowen. Yeah, we've known that for the last couple of years. That it's Bowen, and that's pretty much all we need to sort of worry about. On the left, it's like, well, what should we do there? Oh, we'll put Said Ben Rama, we'll put Four Nows, whatever, and it's not. It doesn't really ever seem to work. So I'm like, I'd love to see Cornet get an opportunity, mate. I really would, but do I think it's going to happen? No, I think you're right. I think he'll probably get sacked off either in the January transfer window or in the summer, and we won't have ever really seen a proper run of games with Maxwell Cornet getting an opportunity. It's just one of those. But as I say, I think that there must be something that's going on behind the scenes. There must be something going on at Rush Green, whether it's the way he's training, whether it's his application. I don't know what it is, but there must be a something where David Moyes just fundamentally doesn't trust him to do the job.
Yeah, and obviously we're not privy to that. We're not at Rush Green. We don't know what the relationship is like between David Moyes and Maxwell Cornet. I haven't gotten any sense of any attitude problem. I've never seen him sulking or throwing his ties out the pram or anything like that.
Well,
But
El
he and
Chico
he
makes
does,
a point in the chat there, and it's a very pertinent point where he says that when he was out injured and he was asked about updates on his fitness, and he says it there. I don't even know where he is. Was one of the quotes that David Moyes came out with, and I just wonder whether that's where the mistrust, the seeds of mistrust were sown. That you had a player that was injured, he's an employee of the club, and the manager at the top of the team, the manager at the sort of at the helm, doesn't know what's going on. And I just wonder whether that was the moment where David Moyes just went, "You won't do for me, mate."
Yeah, I suspect the same thing. Um, I think it was when he got that injury and went to France for the treatment, the specialist treatment for it. I think it left a sour taste in David Moyes' mouth. David Moyes perhaps got the impression this guy's not really motivated. He's quite happily sitting over there in France, taking his time, getting his injury sorted. Um, Maybe he isn't pushing himself, and because he came back to training, remember, and then had to go back to France.
Yep.
So I suspect that was where the problem really began. Um, who knows what might have happened had that injury not occurred? Because I think Moyes did like him and would
Oh
play
yeah.
him. Um, and I thought, he was probably very close, maybe, to actually replacing Ben Rama as the number one choice on that left side. Because remember, Moyes wasn't exactly enamored with Ben Rama either,
No.
and Fornals was not a great option out there either. So I think the injury probably changed everything, changed the whole trajectory of Cornet's career at West Ham, such as it is.
Yeah.
Um, and I think it's unfortunate. Um, and as well, I mean, the thing is, it's probably, it seems too late now. You're just wondering, like, where is the opportunity ever really going to come now for Cornet to get any kind of run in the team? Because Moyes likes now shoving Paqueta over to the left hand side. Although I know he's not an orthodox left midfielder, he's allowed to roam.
Hmm.
Paqueta, he doesn't have to stick to the touchline or anything, but essentially he's taking up that position on paper
It's only
because
so he can shoehorn Souček in. That's the only reason he does it.
yes, exactly. So the fact that Souček must be shoehorned in no matter what means that whatever chance Cornet had is now gone. If that was not the case, then I think Cornet might have a shot at it, given Benrahma's poor form and that Fornals has just completely fallen off the radar now. Cornet might have had one last chance to get some game time on that left hand side to prove himself and to maybe get himself in David Moyes' good graces. But with Paqueta playing over there now, because he got James Ward-Prowse and Alvarez, I think that was the end of it then for Cornet. I think it's a shame because I actually really, really like Maxwell Cornet. I think he's a really talented player. And one thing we really have been missing is pace. And he's got absolute lightning pace down that left hand side, particularly when we're going to play the low block and hit on the counter. I mean, Cornet as an outlet down the left. I mean, you can play a ball in behind, especially against a team where we're playing the low block and they're playing a high line, where we can put a ball right over the top for him and he'll get there first. And I think Moyes is missing a trick by not using him at all. I think he can be used very effectively off the bench in certain circumstances. And I don't mean with a couple of minutes left on normal time. I mean, 70 minutes. If we need to try and score, and he's the kind of player who can get in behind. And actually, he can finish too. He's not
Yeah.
Ben Rama, in and around that 18-yard box. I mean, he knows where the net is, Cornet. And his assists are very good as well. His assist record is very good. Unlike Benrahma, who struggles to assist, doesn't get nearly enough, and can't shoot whatsoever. So I think it's a shame. I suspect that when he does move on, whether it's January or the summer, if he goes to the right club where he'll actually be played, I think once again we'll see the real Maxwell Cornet. If he stays injury free, obviously. But yeah, I just don't think Cornet. To me, I don't see that Cornet's done a lot wrong. So I
I
don't know
think,
what
I
my.
think it was the injury. Like I say, it just came
Yeah,
at the
but I
wrong
mean, look, it
time.
was an injury that was, trickier to deal with than first thought.
Yeah,
It
it was a bit of
happened.
one, wasn't it?
Look, he turns up for training every game, every day. Like I've never seen him sulk, complain, throw his dummy out the pram. Whenever I've seen him on the sideline warming up with the other players, he actually seems quite jovial. But whenever he's been called upon, he's come on and he's. I've never seen him throw a strop or anything like that. I don't think Moyes is a very stubborn man, and I think once you're out of his good graces, I think it's just very, very difficult to get back in.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I think look, we've all known for a long time that he's his favourites, his generals on the pitch are pretty much first names on the team sheet, and then everybody else is sort of has to sort of fight for the scraps that are left. And as I say, Paquetá's put into the left hand side. Here's a 50 million pound Brazilian playmaker who's played at the top level for a good couple of years now for his national team, for club teams, and all the rest of it. And he gets shunted out onto the left because he wants to play his son-in-law as a sort of an auxiliary striker. Yeah, I just don't get it. I don't get it. I mean, we're a counter-attacking team essentially. Now, whether you like that fact, whether you don't, that is what we are at the moment. Now, the one thing that you need if you're a counter-attacking team is pace. You need raw pace to hit teams on the counter whilst they're in disarray. So Cornet would be an absolutely brilliant weapon to have, but for whatever reason, as I say, I just come back to the fact it's a trust thing. It has to be fundamentally a break of trust that David Moyes has with Maxwell Cornet, whether that's
Yeah,
trust in his fitness, whether that's trust in his abilities, whether that's trust in just his sort of like characteristics. With the comment that was made earlier in the chat where he sort of a trust in his reliability. I don't know, but I think fundamentally it comes back to trust with David Moyes. And as you said,
yeah,
I think once he's very old school, David Moyes. I think once he's lost trust with someone, I think you're gonna go very. You're gonna have to sort of like do an awful lot to get that trust back with him.
yeah. A point I was going to come to, and El Chico has beaten me to it. He says it's weird because he's probably the most versatile player we have. Can play left wing, left back, left wing back, right wing, centre forward. It's weird he doesn't get any minutes. And David Moyes usually loves a utility player,
Oh, he
and
does.
he can play numerous positions, and he still can't really get a look in. So I think that says a lot. That a player who is as utilitarian as Maxwell Cornet can't get any minutes, then
No.
I think that really tells you the writing is on the wall. I just wonder. This kind of goes to my thinking actually as well. Is I wonder if because Cornet to me comes across as a bit laissez-faire, devil may care, like nothing kind of phases him. Like the Cornet doesn't seem too bothered either. You know what I mean? It's like he doesn't seem to be like too upset. Like you see, remember Skamaka, how pissed off he looked all the time
Hmm.
that he wasn't getting game
Yeah.
time. Cornet
Yeah.
doesn't gives that kind of impression that he's yeah, whatever. If I play, I play. If I don't, I
Mate,
don't. And maybe
everybody's
maybe
different
Moyes
though.
just doesn't like his maybe Moyes doesn't like that lack of drive or something or
Yeah,
maybe
but
Moyes feels like he just doesn't give a shit or whatever. But maybe he doesn't like that.
But Tom, here's the thing. I mean, everybody sort of like went on a little while ago about the fabled David Moyes MOT, and it was just as much about the player's
Yeah,
characteristics off the pitch as it was his abilities on it. Um, Forgive me, but was he not like that at his previous clubs?
yeah, it was
So
well
surely
known.
he would have known that.
Yeah,
So that shouldn't be an excuse.
no, it shouldn't
Shouldn't
be.
be.
I mean, yeah, I mean, this wasn't a secret. I mean, everybody knew that he did have this kind of laissez-faire attitude, and
Hmm,
he's just kind of floats with the breeze, really, doesn't he, Corner?
yeah,
He's just a very seems a very laid back kind of
he's a chilled guy. Yeah, it doesn't.
yeah,
He's like, look, he's probably one of these guys, right? That he's like, look, I'll turn up to training. I'll give my best in training. Hopefully, you start me. If you don't start me on the bench, hopefully, whatever I can come on. But if you don't pick me, that's on you. I'm just going to sort of like keep coming into training and doing my best and hoping. He's probably one of them. It's like it's out of my hands. If the
yeah.
boss doesn't pick me, there's not a lot I can do. He's probably one of those guys.
Yeah, some people are just like that. They just kind of accept their lot, really, and they just kind of like being footballers, and if they don't play
Yeah,
so much, they don't really, throw the dummies out the pram about it and stuff. And so, yeah, I just think it's a shame. I just think because
I agree.
there really is a player in there, and to be honest, like when he's come off the bench, I don't think I've ever seen him like not trying or not running or like he seems to be he's happy to come on and play
Mm.
football and try and make something happen. And um, so the whole thing is just strange to me. I'd love to have a source inside the club who knows exactly what the relationship is with Moyes and Cornet to
Yeah.
get some kind of idea of why this guy just cannot get a look in, because there's nothing really major or really solid that you can hang your hat on and say this is why he never plays. There's this thing here, that's why he doesn't play. Whether we agree with it or not, at least we know why. So but there's nothing really that Cornet's done that's like really bad or anything.
No. Do you know what? I wonder, and it's hypothetical, but I do wonder how much of a sliding doors moment in the career of Maxwell Cornet at West Ham was that disallowed goal at Stamford Bridge. If that had stood, like I say, it's all if buts and maybes, but I do wonder, would that have been a turning point in his career for the better? It's gone now. The goal was ruled out. We are where we are. We're not where we want to be, and Maxwell Cornet isn't where he wants to be. But yeah, it's a shame. 17 million quid down the drain. I don't know how much in wages we've spent. I'd
Yeah,
imagine that's a fair chunk of change, and it's all gone horribly wrong. It really is a
yeah,
shame because, as you say, he brings a certain amount of versatility. I think that his pace is an absolute essential ingredient if you want to set up as a counter-attacking team, which we are. Whether you like that or not, whether you think we should be, is another matter. But that is fundamentally what we are. So pace is an absolutely essential ingredient, and he brings it. So it's a real shame.
yeah. It would take a lot to turn it around now. I think maybe an injury crisis is the only thing that
Mm.
can save Maxwell Cornet now. But just to address this from Richard Dodds about the press conference. So I don't watch press conferences. They're the most boring thing in the world where virtually nothing is said. And not just David Moyes, I mean, just all press conferences with all managers. I never listen to them. They're a bore fest. The usual questions get asked. You don't get much by way of answers. It's all cryptic shite and non-answers. So I couldn't tell you what David Moyes looked like at the press conference or what he said at the press conference, and I doubt very much if I missed anything.
I actually did watch it, so I was one of those sad people that I I like to watch it just in case there's anything I can pick up from what he said, or actually sometimes you have to sort of
What's
read
not
between
said.
the lines.
Yeah,
So, but yeah, he does look annoyed most of the time, to be fair. Uh, but yeah, always sipping from a cup of coffee. What do you reckon? Do you reckon he's a Nescafe man, gold blend? What
I
do you
think.
think?
I think it's Iron Brew
Iron brew.
with a little dash of Scotch or something. Yeah,
Yeah, that'd make sense.
yeah. But yeah. See, the thing is now, this Mark Watson here is just saying in the chat there that Corner's going to miss out now on the Afcon over this. Like he's just not playing any football, and they've actually selected a kid from Brentford. I think he's only like 21, but he's playing at Brentford, and I think he's got the call up now ahead of Corney. Um, So Cornet is out of the squad and looks like he will not go to AFCON. Do you think that could save him? Because we might have to play him during AFCON if we ain't got enough players.
That's possible. I hadn't thought about that.
If Benny's
Always
gone,
always
Benny
possible.
wasn't in there either, in that squad. His manager is still pissed off with him.
Oh well, then he might not be going either. Do you know? And then,
Yeah.
and this is something that's always bugged me. Right, just on that, I don't understand why managers moan and bleat and bitch and whine about players going to the AFCON every 2 years in January time. It's like, did you not look at their fucking passport when you bought them? What's that
Yeah,
all about? It's totally ridiculous. You knew he was from fucking Senegal. You knew he was from the Ivory Coast when you bought him. What did you think was going to happen?
yeah, it's
Arsehole.
just a lack of forward planning, and it's going to be an interesting one to see who we actually are missing because a lot's been made of, oh, we're going to be in trouble when AFCON comes around. Yeah, not necessarily. We'll be missing Kudus for certain. And I think we'll be missing Aguirre for certain.
Yeah.
That might be it. Like Aguirre, I think is replaceable, right? We can chuck Mavropanos in there. Kera can play there if needs be. Oggy at a pinch if you're really stuck. So I think the centre back would be all right, but Kudus will be a tough loss. But I think,
That would be a big loss.
yeah, but I think that'll be to me. I think that'll be the only loss. I mean, Benny's been. I'm sorry, he's been horrible this season. So even if he does go and he patches things up with his manager, Benny's not going to be a massive loss. I don't think, frankly. Um, the interesting thing will be, you see, that we're talking about a squad other than Kudus and Aguerd, and Aguerd is we can cover Aguerd. Kudus would be the only loss to us in the Afcon. Cornet probably
I
ain't
agree.
going. Cornet can't get in the squad because he's not playing any football, and like I said, Benrahma can't get in the Algerian squad because he's fallen out with his manager. So it may really only be Kudus that we're really missing, and wish we had. Um, so I don't think the Afcon's going to be as big a deal as we think it is. What do you think, Luke? Afcon being overblown a bit? I think it could only be Kudus that we really missed during the Afcon.
How you doing, lads?
Hey Luke, can I just before you do, can I just real quick? I've got to ask this question of Peter Jones. Did you use your sock in the end? Did you have to use your sock?
Oh, okay. We'll await the reply.
Me? Is that to me?
No. Peter Jones, his comment.
Sorry.
He made a comment about the toilet roll in the gents, and I want to know: did you have to use your sock?
Got the lucky sock, eh? Classic.
Actually, before you address the Afcon, Luke, I don't know how much you heard of what we've been talking about, but I've been talking about the entirely from start to finish bizarre situation with Cornet,
Right.
who I think me and Gatesy both agree is we think he's a really, really good player, and we just cannot understand why that guy can't get any minutes given Benrahma's form. That's not ideal having Paqueta there, given how versatile he is. He can cover numerous positions, but can barely get a kick, and it's a strange one to us. And I think it's a disappointing one for me because we've got a player in Maxwell Cornet, and I think that guy needs a run of games. And if we can get the Maxwell Cornet that we know he is, I mean, he could be a really huge asset to the team.
Yeah, it could. By the way, there's also a drinking game that I've invented to do with Cornet, and that's every time someone mispronounces his name, you take a drink. And I tell you now, there's going to be a few drunk fans who are watching this if they're deciding to play along with it now. I've been wanting, since he signed. I've been thinking about Cornet-To's all the time because everyone goes Cornet, whatever his name is, and this is to me it's funny the different connotations in the name that gets said. A bit like when Mabama gets talked about. That's a funny one as well.
Naya Fagerd.
All of it. I mean, even
Do you know what cracks me up? There's commentators on Sky and TNT keep calling him Agard.
unfair game with commentators because they do tend to hear about. I think it's the way we pronounce a name in English is different to how it's pronounced in Moroccan, and it might be Agad, however they say it. I don't know. I'm getting too into it now. AFCON probably won't affect us, like you said, but it could affect us as well, based on the fact that Moyes doesn't use his squad to its full capacity. We've also heard this week that Agard potentially has had a hamstring injury for a little while. and it could be a reason why he tends to make at least one mistake every game, which normally leads to a goal.
That's fucking criminal if that's true.
It apparently, I'm not going to say I believe every single rumor out there, but it would make sense in some ways. The thing is, you never know how games are going to affect you when a player's missing or whatever. I mean, for my mind, when players aren't playing in this particular team under Moyes, I think it affects them more than just ability wise. You look at Fornals when he comes on, when he does come on, he looks like he's going about to burst into tears half the time. So Benrahma going, though he's not been on top form, he's basically been useless this season, but it might affect us in a different way, squad wise, mentality wise, morale wise. Cornet not playing, I do get it. I do understand it because he's not, since he signed for us, he's not been the player that he was at Burnley. The ironic thing about that as well is as good as Cornet was at Burnley, he was very injury prone. Apparently, he was good for like one game, 2 games, and would be out for a couple of games or something along them lines.
I tell you what, Luke, I thought he looked really good before the injury.
No, he did. But this is the problem: is the fact that he might have looked really good, but he got injured. So whether we liked it or not, he would have been capable of playing regardless.
He's been back fit for a long time.
Yeah, I know. But the trouble is, it's been going around Twitter this week, and I think there's a massive point to it: is that goals change careers. And if the goal had gone in against Chelsea and the stood, I think Moyes might have trusted him more. He should have trusted him anyway because he clearly scored the goal, regardless of whether it stood or not. He was clearly capable of doing it. But again, our wing base and attack base is so weird and stagnated and jagged edges that we just try to fit players in just because we feel like they have to play. So Antonio kind of plays because he has to play. We stick him up front because that's the most logical place. But I think he's been playing better when he's on the wing this season. Actually, when he does.
Paqueta on the left-hand side because Souček has to play.
And then when Cornet has come on as a sub, the couple of games he did, he went up front and he wasn't really effective. I know the game plan was to use him with his pace in the last few minutes to try and get against tired defenders and work on the counter attack. But he's another player that we sort of seem to sign. Everyone knows his position. But for some reason, he either gets injured or Moyes don't fancy him, or the game wasn't really like. I don't think Cornet's a sub either. I think he's a player you start with. You get the most out of him when he starts games. I don't think he's an impact player. I think he's someone that has to play from the start, go into it. I think the last game he played really well in was the Conference League game where he got an assist for Skamaka against Viborg. So he's got it in him. I'm a really big fan of his. In fact, I was really surprised and pleasantly surprised when we signed him in the first place because I thought he was fantastic for Burnley. Yes, he missed a penalty against us, but I think he did it as a favour to us to try and get us to button up and sign him.
Sorry, if I can just get to Gatesy for a second. Another thing, Gatesy, is you look at our fixtures now, particularly in December and even into January. I mean, we've got a huge number of fixtures. I mean, perhaps that would be the saving grace for Cornet, that we've just got so many fixtures. He's just gonna have to play some games.
If it was any other manager than David Moyes, I might have agreed with that statement. But there's been many times where I've thought that he's got to rotate them now, hasn't he? He can't keep the same 11. Oh, yeah, he has. Oh, fuck. Okay. And then he's sort of scratching his head at the end of the season and turning around and sort of wondering why the players are running on fumes. It's like, it's because you've run them into the fucking ground, you dimlo.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think, Luke? I mean, we've got so many games. There's got to be some rotation, surely.
I went on to E20 last night, and by the way, that was, you want to go check it out. Go check it out. It was a good video. I was on there. We enjoyed it. Go and subscribe to that channel. I'm going to plug that like I plug Network on other channels. And we were saying that basically, the point was made. I think I brought it up that for West Ham, our history of injuries in the squad, we've actually had, I think, quite a good record over the last 2 or 3 years of having, the least amount of injuries we normally find at West Ham. it would be a very ironic if we do have all these games and Moyes still sticks to his stubbornness of having the very small knit, and we don't get the injuries and we don't get the fatigue. We somehow get results here and there through last minute corners and whatever you want to call it. You think, like, logically, yes, you'd have to bite the bullet and have to rearrange things and make changes to starting lineups and think about tactics a bit more and what you're going to do here, there, and everywhere. I don't really have much faith that he will. I hope that he does to an extent. Players like Fornals, I think, still do a very good job for us. I think, you know, if we're firing all on cylinders, these players don't really get in the first team anymore. They're not at that level, but it would make sense to use as much of your squad as possible, if not as well youth players. But I think after 1,000 games, the man has made it clear that he's not in favour of playing youth players.
So with that in mind,
Yeah.
I'll put this to both of you. Gatesy first. Given the number of games we've got in December, so obviously we've got Premier League, we're going to have 2 group stage games in the Europa League, very important games, and we're going to have also a very important quarter final against Liverpool in the Carabao Cup at Anfield. How would you both set your priorities in this next month? Like, because you're gonna have to cut your cloth in some way, shape, or form. Gatey, I mean, how do you look at the fixtures? Where do you put Premier League position
Ooh.
over the cup fixtures? Do you put one ahead of the other? Where's your list of preferences, and how would you look at December if you were West Ham manager?
Well, my priority is always going to be the Premier League. It's really simple. My priority would be the Premier League first and foremost. I think, in all likelihood, I think that we're going to go to Topola and turn them over. So I see that being 3 points. I don't really have too much of a concern there, which basically means that we've wrapped up the group. So the Freiburg game becomes something of a free hit, I would suspect. The only fly in the ointment for me is going to be the game away at Anfield, because win that and you're 2 games away from Wembley. You know, and how often do we get to a Wembley Cup final? That's probably the fly in the ointment for me. And I'm actually going to that game. I'll be
So
there.
would you be willing to sacrifice the cups to maintain league position? If the Premier League's your priority.
Premier League is my priority, and it always will be. But oh God, let me have a look. What we got? We got Wolves one side of the game, and oh fuck, we're playing Man United 3 days later. Oh,
Everything is 3 and 4 days, mostly 3 days.
yeah.
Like bang, bang, bang. The
I
games
mean, look,
keep.
for me, he has to rotate, but he won't. It's very unlikely. He's going to fucking use the same players virtually the whole way through, isn't he?
Yeah. So Luke, how would you prioritize December? I mean, it's a tricky month.
It is, and I'm a bit of a half glass full, completely positive person when it comes to Dream World, where I think we should be going for all the competitions and not prioritise anything and just go for it all. And whatever happens, what will be, and that's football. But funny enough, I do like to see us going strong in the league, and I do think that the cups are bonuses. Having said that, when we was in the Europa League the first time round and we were in the semi-final, I wasn't giving a shit that we were losing the league, that our league form was terrible, that we lost to Arsenal at home prior to the Frankfurt game or whatever it was. So I was like, look at this, look what we're doing in the Europa League, sod the league for it. We're going to be safe. We're not going to be getting relegated. So let's go and enjoy and try and make the most of this Europa League campaign. So this time round, I'll be honest with you, I've always with Liverpool away, I've conceded defeat already. To me, we're going to be knocked out. That's just
no.
What I'm saying is, guys, not that I truly believe that, but I do. But what I'm saying is
making a long journey there, Luke. Don't do this to me.
Well, I hope I proved wrong. But my point is that if I set myself up for disappointment in the start, it will make the victory even more better because I didn't expect it.
That's a very cynical way to live your life, Luke.
Mate, at times cynicism wins in my life, and I never normally like it. I hate it, but it does take over. I'm sorry. Supporting this club.
I'll tell you honestly.
Supporting this club is a roller coaster of emotions at the best of times.
Yeah.
That is true.
A lot.
Yeah, I think I'll be honest. I'd try to make sure that we're top of that table in Europa League so that we're through to the last 16 and not the last 32.
Yeah.
I would prioritise those 2 remaining games, and you will have to prioritise both. I expect Freiburg to win at home against Olympiacos. So we're going to have to go out to Serbia and win, and then we're going to have to make sure we don't lose at home. A draw then would be enough at home to Freiburg, because we would top the table on the head-to-head, basically, because we beat them out in Freiburg and drew with them at home. We would be top virtue of that. That takes precedence over goal difference. I would make sure that we are top of that group, and I would rest a number of players before that Liverpool game. I would make sure as many of my players as possible, particularly the vital players, are as fresh as humanly possible. I would have no problem risking a loss ahead of that Liverpool game in the league. I would want to go to Anfield and really have a go at making the semi-final, because, what if we'd be quite sickened if we lose up at Anfield and then they get fucking Port Vale or Middlesbrough in a semi-final. We're thinking, fucking hell, that was the final. That was the final. If we'd have prioritised it more and really had a go up at Anfield and tried to make that, because they've got, I think, Man United and Arsenal either side of our game in the league. And Liverpool, I'm hoping actually Liverpool beat City tomorrow. I really am. I want them to be right in the thick of the title race when we play them at Anfield in Carabao Cup. I want him to take out as many of his first 11 as possible for that game with us, and I would prioritise it. I think we can recover in the league, risking losing points in certain games or dropping points in certain games. By the time things settle down in January, fixture-wise, I think we'll be able to recover from any drop points in December. We're not going to, like you, Luke. We're going to be in absolutely no danger of relegation. I just really want to see us be in the last 16. If come January we're in 12th or 13th in the league, and we're top of the group and looking forward to a last 16 game in March in Europa League, and we're in the semi-final of the Carabao Cup, I'll tell you, hand on heart, I'll take it right now. I really would take that over potentially being out of the Carabao Cup and, finishing second or even third. I think we'd be okay we could finish third still, remember, and drop into Conference League. I want to make sure none of that happens. I'll be happy with 12th to 13th and in the Carabao Cup semi-final and in the last 16 in March of the Europa League. I would take it personally, Gatesy, over maintaining, 9th or even 8th place in the league temporarily, because I think we can recover in the league. I think things are that tight up there, teams beating each other. I think we could still make a little run in the league, potentially get ourselves back up in there when the fixture congestion kind of eases off.
I'm just going to take a slight issue with El Chico's comment there, though. 70 plus straight losses away to the top 6. That is in the league. We're talking about the League Cup. Moyes did actually go away to Old Trafford and we won 1-0 2 seasons ago. Just saying. We could do it.
Yeah, look, cups are cups. They're a different animal, really.
Yeah. Oh, she's fine, Nick. She's good. He's asking how Winnie is, my dog.
Oh, what's happened to poor Winnie?
No, because he's I got Winnie from Nick. That's why he always asks after her.
Remember that now.
Yeah, no, she's a good girl.
Does it never stop fucking yapping?
She does go a little bit mental with the postman putting things through the letterbox. She has a little bit of a bark up then. And the other thing that's a bit weird that sets her off is that just above my head is the printer. When I print something and it starts whirring away, she goes mental. And apparently so does her brother Bonzo, which so it must be a family trait.
Yeah.
My uncle had a dog. It was like this small little mixed breed thing. It was basically like Jack Russell size thing,
Yeah.
and he was completely confused. So even if you're a stranger, if you come to the door and they open the door and he's the friendliest little thing, tail wagging, hey, how you doing? And you can rub him and then when you try to leave, he loses his fucking nut. And he starts like barking and going crazy at you and acting like all aggressive when you want to leave. So the dog was just completely confused. So if burglars ever arrived, like he'd completely invite them in and then they'd never get out the house.
Yeah. Rip their throats out.
Yeah, he'd just go nuts when they try and leave. It's crazy dog.
Dear, oh dear. But no, I'm going up to Anfield. You know, I know it's going to be a tough fixture, and I know that history's against us, and I know all of that. But like you say, guys, hopefully they're in the thick of a title race. Hopefully they've got a tough game either side of it. You never know if Jurgen Klopp sort of like rests a good few players. And look, let's make no mistake about it. They've got a deep squad, so they can rotate and still put out a strong 11, but it won't be their
Strong, yes.
strongest 11.
But it won't, yeah, but it will be a weakened side nonetheless.
Yeah.
And we're going to put, I would imagine, our full strength, our best 11 out available to us. So, all right, go on, Nick. He loves this question. Would you take 19th and the Carabao Cup?
No.
No,
I'd take
No, I
17th,
wouldn't.
and I think
no.
he'd
I'd take 17th.
I wouldn't take relegation for the Carabao Cup. I wouldn't.
No. 17th, I'd probably stomach it.
If you offered me
Wembley
17th
final.
and the Carabao Cup right now, I'd take it.
Yeah.
For
19th.
one
No way.
season,
Shall I really annoy Nick? Really annoy
go
Nick?
on. Go on. There we go.
If Moyes wins us another trophy, I don't think I can make an argument to say that he needs to go. I'd say, do you know what? Fuck it, you can stay. You're the most frustrating manager I've ever known me to experience in all my years being a West Ham fan.
Mm-hmm.
But you're the most successful. Somehow you're winning these trophies, and you can make all the arguments that I've made myself recently and in the past that he got lucky with his run and all sorts of stuff like that. But fuck me, if he wins 2 trophies in 2 years, one being the European Cup and one the League Cup, which I've got a lot of. I'm a fan of the League Cup. I don't think many people are nowadays. I think they think it was a crappy cup, but I really like it. And if you want us the 2 trophies, I'd have to say, do you know what, mate? He's going to go anyway, probably. But I'm just saying, for me, I'd be like, fuck it. I can't be Moyes out anymore because it's just. I don't really, I don't like your football. I don't like the way you manage the team. I don't like your lineups. I don't like the way you handle yourself anymore. And the media.
Would you put up with a new 2-year contract or for the Carabao Cup?
I'd have to. I don't know. West Ham have never won trophies. We've always been. 2006 was the closest we got. A minute away and it's gone. I don't know what it's like to support a team that wins trophies. I've grown up with mates that have supported teams that win trophies on the regular. That night, Prague, as much as I might have, hated this, that, and the other, it was an incredible night. And if we go to Wembley and win the fucking League Cup, at some point, substance comes over style. And for me personally, I don't think I could make an argument for me to say anymore that Moyes should go, because it'd be the most ironic thing that he's the most frustrating, but he's the most successful as well. So it's like this geezer's winning his trophies and he's pissing everyone off at the same time. It's mad. So yeah, I don't think. I'm just saying it out now. I'm putting it out there now that I don't think I could make right now, hand on heart. I don't think I could make an argument for him to go, because I would never have known as much success as I have.
To be honest, Luke, I don't think you're going to have any dilemma. like and this is not a dig at Moyes. I mean, just cups are just hard to win.
Yeah,
Unless you're one of the top teams in the country,
yeah.
they tend to hoover up the cups really. So it would be actually, I can't lie. I mean, it would be a genuine fucking achievement to win back-to-back trophies.
Yeah.
With West Ham. I mean, it really would. I mean, I couldn't say otherwise about the man. If he wins back-to-back trophies, I'll just shut my mouth, to be honest, from now on, and just put up with the football. If he wants
Exactly
to,
where I'm coming from.
look, okay, fine,
Yeah.
Moyes,
Yeah,
you win. If you want to keep going winning trophies, I'm here for it. I'll put up with the shit football. If you keep delivering trophies, I'll fucking put up with it. But I don't think it'll come down to that. It's just very hard to keep winning.
we will see what happens because I'm still very unconfident with the Liverpool game.
I think, like, genuinely, our real hope of a trophy right now is the Carabao Cup. I mean, if we were to go up and even if we just shithouse a result up at Anfield, and then we get the winner of, and then we get the winner of Port Vale Middlesbrough in the semi-final. How about another semi-final against Middlesbrough? Remember the
We'd
one at
probably
Villa
lose in the semis, wouldn't we? That's the West Ham way. We'll beat Liverpool at Anfield and get beat by fucking Port Vale in the semis.
That'd be amazing.
That's just so West Ham.
It would be.
That's the one for me. That's why I think, like, the Liverpool game, like, hand on heart, I don't even know who we play before the Liverpool game, to be honest, in the league. But, like, if Moyes literally came out in the press conference and said, "I'm resting everyone. I don't care if we lose this game on Sunday or whatever. We're going all out at Anfield," I'd be like, "Yeah, absolutely behind it. Absolutely behind it." It's a huge game for me. The Carabao Cup is winnable. It's winnable if we can get a result up at Anfield. I mean, it's on. Like, it's game on. Get to the semi-final. Anything can happen. That for me is the big one. I think it would be exceedingly difficult to win the Europa League. Not impossible, of course, but it will be exceedingly difficult to win that. And I think it's unlikely that it will happen realistically. Whoever we play, we'll give them a game over two legs. They'll know they've been in a two-legged affair with us. But for me, it's all about that Liverpool game. I would chuck it. But obviously, we got more immediate issues, namely Turf Moor. Their home record is just terrible. They've lost all 6 games they've played at home. They're I can't remember the exact numbers, but I think they've conceded.
I know what's coming next then.
They're like averaging 3 goals per game conceded at home. Like, is it 18 conceded in their 6 games, and they've scored, I don't know, like, is it 6? So they're averaging 1 goal a game at home, or maybe 4 even, or something. It's really, really bad.
3-0 win for Burnley incoming then.
Yeah, so going to get absolutely fucking destroyed, aren't we, Sunday, Luke? Tomorrow, sorry.
I'm dreading it because you mentioned 3-0 there, and I said last night on the other YouTube channel that it brings back memories of Roberto, doesn't it? That's the Roberto match. The man who punched the ball in his own net. It's interesting because West Ham to me is a team that I can never be truly confident with. People go to games and we celebrate scoring goals. I get relieved when we score goals. I'm like, yes, we've actually scored a goal. We're less likely to lose the game now. That's how basically I react. That's how I go. So going tomorrow to a team that try to play good football, that as far as I know are just a bit unlucky when it comes to missing opportunities up front. We like to let players in and score goals, sort of thing. So it'd be interesting. It's funny, because this is just something I was going to mention to you boys, and just thinking about it, right? So I class David Moyes certainly as a one-dimensional manager, right? Doesn't really tend to change tactics in game, and if he does, it doesn't really work very well because he doesn't really know how to do it very well. But Company is a very modern manager, plays a very modern system, out from the back, all this and all that, and is adamant that's how whether they win or lose, that's how they're going to play, right? And I think you can probably think that most teams are like that. They've all got their own styles, and they don't really change it that much. This one-dimensional thing, is that just as poor as Moyes' one-dimensional with the way he plays? Because although it might be easier to watch if you're a Burnley fan, you know you're going to try and see them at least try and play good football, or entertaining football, whatever you want to call it. But if you're losing the game, then you kind of think, well, you need to change up a little bit, maybe go a bit long ball, go a bit, do this, do that. It doesn't happen. Surely that's just as frustrating as it would be to just be low block and try it and counters and work on set pieces. Because it's funny, I think we mentioned a little while back that when Tottenham lost to Chelsea in the league last month, was it, whenever it was, when Spurs had 2 red cards and Postecoglou was still going for it even at the 90th minute. It was like, I felt it was a bit naive. I'm a fan of Postecoglou, but even I thought this is at some point you got to go, right, we've got to defend something here. But it's like 1-1. We've got to really get something out of the game. And to me, that's just as one-dimensional as Moyes can be. I don't know if you boys agree with that or know what I'm talking about. Where I'm coming from.
I do. And in fact, I had that I made that very point to my missus, who is a Tottenham fan, and I turned around and said, "Isn't it funny that David Moyes doesn't change his tactics, and he's only got a plan A. He doesn't have a plan B. Postecoglou doesn't change anything when his team's 2 men down against Chelsea and they lose 4-1. And everybody says, "Oh, well done to him for sticking to his guns," sort of thing. And it's like, it is a little bit. Look, I understand that people.
It's the question of. It's kind of like, do you stick to your philosophy no matter what, or do you try to be more pragmatic? I think Postecoglou should have been more pragmatic in that game. I'll be honest. I don't look. He may have gotten, something. Very brave.
It happened against Wolves, didn't it? It happened as well against Wolves. They lost it in the last 7 minutes or whatever it was added time, because apparently I didn't see the end of the game, but apparently rather than shut up shop and try and hold out for the lead, they went for it again and they got caught and they conceded 2 goals. So it happened 2 games in a row, and this was the manager that I was gutted that we lost. And then suddenly, I thought to myself, hold on, maybe he's not the all-knowing manager that I kind of thought, because he changed the philosophy of Tottenham completely. And suddenly it highlighted to me that actually maybe he's a little bit naive. Maybe he's more of a, too much of a free spirit that I thought. And there's game tactics, and it's not all about just trying to play and entertain the fans all the time, because sometimes you have got to make them a bit bored, because there's a result.
Particularly in that situation, I think fans would accept, that you're going to have to cut your cloth accordingly here for the rest of this game and see if you can hold out. But yeah, and I think Postecoglou will learn that in the Premier League, because he's going to drop too many points, but being just stubbornly sticking to his philosophy in all situations. I think he will learn to become a little bit more pragmatic. Inevitably, I think he has to. So I didn't quite share. I know Nick loves Postecoglou, and Nick thought it was great that he kept the high line and stuck to his principles and all that. I think he should have been pragmatic and tried to hang on for something. It's why Tottenham have got absolutely no chance of winning the league. Postecoglou just needs to learn to be a little bit more pragmatic at times, just to help his players out, try and secure the points that he's going to need to finish where he would like them to finish, which presumably in his mind is in the Champions League spot. I don't think Postecoglou believes that they'll win the league, but I think he feels like they can finish top 4, but he's going to have to be pragmatic in certain situations to do that.
It might wear thin a little bit. What I'm saying is that now it's kind of like...
See, now it's fresh, because Tottenham fans had to look at fucking Conte football for a long time.
Well, Mourinho as well before that.
And Mourinho football, then Conte football. So it probably is a breath of fresh air. But that's going to wear thin too. The time is going to come when Tottenham fans are going to start saying, we're dropping some points we don't need to drop because you're incapable of being pragmatic. It's a bit naive
Yeah.
from Postecoglou at times, and I think Tottenham fans will kind of come out and start saying that stuff. It will wear thin when they're dropping points that they feel like they don't necessarily need to be dropping because he just refuses to be fucking pragmatic in the right moments. But again, look, I guess that's Tottenham's problem. But Gatesy, tomorrow. I know we joked about, oh yeah, we'll get done 3-0 now because of the stats I gave about Burnley's home form, but
in their second lads.
realistically, I mean we've got to be pretty confident going up to Burnley.
I think you have to be, don't you? You mentioned their home record and their record in the Premier League. Overall, it's poor, and they're at the bottom for a reason. So I think we've got to go there with confidence. If we can't go to Burnley with a little bit of confidence, and I'm not saying this to try and demean Burnley, all the rest of it, but facts are facts. We should be looking at that fixture tomorrow as a 3 points, and anything less would be a disappointment for me. I'll make no bones about it.
Yeah, I mean anything less than a win, I think would be underwhelming. I mean a loss would be unacceptable. I think. I mean you can't go there and hand them their first
No,
home win of the season.
but that would be so West Ham, wouldn't it?
It would be traditional West Ham,
Yeah.
but it wouldn't be acceptable. I mean, they're
No.
there for the taking. To be completely honest, I mean, we're going to have a better team on the pitch. They're not in a good place. Their form is really poor, particularly their home form is atrocious. They can be got at. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be happy, even a draw, even though. I know in general terms, in the Premier League, you tend to think, all right, no point away from home is a bad point. And I think it would still be true. It wouldn't be a bad point at Turf Moor. But to me, it would be a little bit underwhelming to not go and win there because they're so bad at home. And I don't think it will come down to that. I think we will go up there and get a result. They just look like relegation fodder, Burnley. And I think especially if we can actually go 1-0 up, then I think it'll just whatever air is in the place will just get sucked completely out of it. And I think their players' heads will be like, oh, here we fucking go. The fans will be, oh fucking here we go. So yeah, I'm actually quite confident. So before Luke comes back, what do you feel like on scoreline? They're
Oh,
conceding. I'll remind you, they are conceding a lot of goals at home.
I can't possibly reveal this. This has got to be saved for the match preview on the West Ham Massive, Tommy. I can't reveal it here, surely.
No, you don't have to whatsoever.
You guys will have to tune in tomorrow at 11:30 on the West Ham Massive when we go live on our match preview. There you go. I've given it a plug, given you a reason to come across, and if you haven't already done so, give us a subscribe. Why not?
You're such a little cock tease, Gatesy. All right, guys, you're gonna have to tune in 11:30, the West Ham Massive on YouTube live tomorrow, and we'll finally see revealed Gatesy's prediction for the results. But you don't have to be so coy in the live chat. Put it in. I'll put it on screen. Steve Irons, 80, straight in. So he's confident too. He thinks Burnley's average concession of 3 goals per game at home is going to continue. But he does see them scoring, which is fair enough because we just can't keep a clean sheet. Put in your score lines, boys and girls, and I'll put them up on the screen.
I don't think Mikey sort of like is a Moyes fan. I'm guessing. I could be wrong. His prediction there.
Hammers Mikey?
Yeah.
Did he give a prediction?
He did.
I'll have to scroll back up and find it.
I'm gonna put my head on the block here, and I'm gonna say I'm guessing he's not a Moyes fan.
I don't know.
I mean,
yeah, I'll make you right. All right, let me see now. Where was I?
Maybe you'll put Cornet in goal.
Mr. Mace isn't feeling it either. Is it 0-0 tomorrow? Turgid shite. That could happen. Lawrence Watkins 3-1 to the Hammers. So he's happy Hammerette. Look at this. She's been a good girl. I've not had a drink for 6 days. Going to get smashed tomorrow, starting at the 12:30 kickoff.
She's going to ruin all the good work.
Just make sure have a big dirty fry. Put down a buffer, and then get your drink on. You'll be fine.
There you go. Get yourself down the calf.
That's it.
Nice big fry up.
Yeah, Lawrence Salmon saying we have Burnley late winner 1-0. That would be a sickener, wouldn't it?
That's a kick in the nuts.
Alan Dunn says we're going to go up there and turn them over 1-0. Mark Watson 1-1 board draw.
Yeah.
This is not as positive as I thought it might be.
Ooh.
Yeah, Nick, what's the score going to be tomorrow? Let me know.
Ooh.
So, Ricky Jordan saying, hope to see you boys mess. Oh, Christ. I hate when it jumps. I'll read it off the screen here. Hoping to see a Moyes masterclass of surprise and play 3-5-2 and a 2-1 victory. That's highly unlikely. That would be a massive surprise. I don't see it. So, Mandy G. Hi, everyone. Hey, Tommy, did you hear Moyes say in his press conference today that we are too open because we have more offensive players than last year, which is why we are conceding more?
I've got a very important question, Tom, to ask Nick.
That is a ridiculous statement. It's a very Moyes statement, but it's a ridiculous statement to say that our problem is we've got too many attacking players. I'm sorry, you've got 4 defenders and a DM. And Souček essentially sits in and helps out as well. Go fuck yourself, Moyes.
Here's a question for Nick. Again, it's one of those sort of questions that just flashes across my mind randomly. Nick, Mikey and Mace wants to spit roast Moyes. Who's going front? Who's going back? What's your money on?
Don't encourage him, for fuck's sake. Thomas McKeever saying 2-0, but we could easily draw. Yeah. Nick's not calling it. Nick's sulking because he thinks we're going to win. That's what it is.
Oh, I reckon he thinks it's going to be 4-0 West Ham.
He doesn't want to say.
He reckons we're going to rip them a new one.
Paul Evans saying 1-1. Hope I'm wrong. Hammerette Brownhill will score, but we will win 2-1 regardless of Bowen and Antonio likely out. Moyes been a bit coy about Bowen, so we'll wait and see. Rooney, tensions, 2-0 to the Hammers. Lawrence agrees with me about something. Sorry, because I have to scroll down, Lawrence. I'm not exactly sure what you're agreeing with, but thank you. Appreciate the support. Remember, Danny Ings maybe starting. Okay, good to have you back. So, Luke, I'll put it to you. We've had our say, me and Gatesy. Are you confident or not for tomorrow? If so or not, why? And your score prediction.
I am not confident because we tend to make games that should be easy for us fairly difficult. Burnley need a win. West Ham history would tell you that we goal scorers that can't score against us, and teams that can't win against us. So that is why I'm unconfident, purely because of that basis. We could have the best team in the world, and we'd go away and lose to a non-league team. Because
even if we play Ings and Cornet, who are both nailed on to score if they play against their old club, we'll win 2-1. Cullen will score against us, but we'll have Cornet and Ings to score against them.
The football gods will have it that Cornet will hit the post twice, and then Ings.
You watch Ings and Cornet will both score own goals.
Yeah, something on it. Exactly. They'll get a goal. prediction wise, even though I am unconfident, I've got to go for West Ham win, haven't I? So I'll say 3-1 West Ham. They'll get a goal, I think, just because they don't score very many goals, so they'll get a goal. Ings will get a goal because he has to at some point. You know, the endless sub appearances I've got to work out at some point. So, yeah, 3-1 West Ham.
And before we go, and I'll keep this relatively brief, or I
Like
hope
my
you will.
segue.
Given Antonio's injury, if it's, let's just play devil's advocate here for a second. We know Antonio's out. It seems likely Bowen will miss the game. What do you do? What's your solution, Gatesy?
If Bowen doesn't play, I think that Kudus should be okay. I'd stick him up top.
And who on the right?
I would consider giving the guy that we were talking about at the top of the show a run out, but I'm not too sure that Moyes will. I'd give Maxwell Cornet a go. What's the worst that could happen?
Yeah, I mean, if Bowen's unavailable and you're going to play Kudus up top, I mean, we're more or less out of options.
Or the other one is obviously Mubama, who's obviously just there. Mubama's another option. Do I think that Moyes will? No. So I'm trying to sort of like be optimistic but realistic at the same time, if that makes sense.
I'd play Suchik up front. I put this into a group chat earlier that basically we only use Antonio really as a battering ram anyway, to hold off defenders and be strong. It's very difficult to knock Suchik off the ball. I'll give him that. He's a hindrance in the midfield because he's only good at one thing, really. He's being useful at either end of the pitch, either defending our box or scoring in the opponent's box. Have him up front as a target man. It frees up the midfield to have better midfielders, better technical ability in there. We haven't got a striker. Antonio's been useless when he has played. Ings is useless just as well in the system. So he can't be any worse than those two. So why not give him a try up front? He's tall enough to win the headers when the ball goes up to, which inevitably will do. So yeah, I'd try Suchik up front. And that's a nice left field comment, but yeah, Suchik up front for me.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. I've never seen him play as a number 9, so he definitely won't be caught offside. That's for sure. He's got no pace. I'm inclined to agree with Nick here, actually. Nick says I'd go full throttle against Alvarez as a CDM, Kudus and Piquet as the 8s, Benny left, Cornet right, Mubama up top. I would be fine with that, to be completely honest. I think Mubama needs a chat. I'd rather see, if it's a choice of Mubama or Ings up top, I would go Mubama. Would both agree, or did anyone disagree?
No, I completely agree. I'd rather play me up top than Danny Ings.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Danny Ings as a lone striker experiment has well and truly run its course.
I don't blame Ings personally.
No.
He's a very good striker on his day, but he just doesn't fit the system. I don't blame Antonio half the time the way he plays because he's just up front on his own, dealing with scraps, having to hold off 2 or 3 defenders at a time. So it's just a difficult position to play in.
Yeah, I mean, look, the fact is, Danny Ings has scored goals wherever he's been in the Premier League, except West Ham, because we just don't play to his strengths whatsoever. So it's no surprise, but it's an interesting one that if you move Paqueta to, we've played before with the false 9, and I mean we went to Tottenham and absolutely destroyed them with no number 9. Under Allardyce, weirdly, but so it can be done. You don't necessarily have to have a number 9. on the pitch to win a game of football. So, but I don't think Moyes would do that though. I do think Moyes likes to have a number 9 on there. So I think he's going to play Ings. Let's be honest.
Can I ask a question?
Always.
Who was it that first termed that false 9 terminology? Because here's the thing. Essentially, what we're saying is that when you've got a false 9, they're not actually a striker by trade, so they're a midfielder usually, right? But when you get a centre back that's moved over to play at right back, do you call him a false 2?
I believe it was. I could be wrong. I believe it was Guardiola when with Messi, because they were asking him why Messi wasn't playing on the wing.
Yeah, but you don't put a centre back at right back and call him a false 2, do you?
A false forward, a left back, and stuff like that. Yeah, vice
load
versa.
of old bollocks, really.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
you're right.
I don't know the history of it, but yeah, look, Luke is a bit worried about this one. I understand why, because I think he's gonna fucking play Ings up top on his own, and it's probably gonna be
Gonna happen, lad.
yeah, it's gonna yeah. I think if there's no Bowen and no Antonio, he has to move Paqueta central. He's got to, isn't he? Or do you think he's just going to go Ward-Prowse, Alvarez, Souček midfield, isn't he? And was he going to go Paqueta left and he's going to go? This is my prediction, right? The back four, I think we know is Aguerd available?
Aguerd, he reckons should be.
Yeah, so the usual back four, usual keeper, usual midfield three, which is going to be Alvarez, Ward-Prowse, and Souček. He'll have Paqueta on the left. I think he will play Kudus on the right in place of Bowen, and I think he'll chuck Danny Ings up top. And I still think that will be enough to beat Burnley.
I think one of the worst things that could have happened last game was where we're concerned with overall play is the two corners that won us the game, because I think that's what Moyes can always go to now and just go, well, if it doesn't work out, in open play, we can always just whack a few corners over from Ward-Prowse to someone gets their head on it, and we win the game that way. So it comes to the point where, if you spend 85 minutes trying to win a game in open play, so he goes, right, try and win a few corners, lads, and we should be all right, then it's isn't it?
I'm going to put this to you. Do you think there's any chance that Moyes does something unexpected and chucks Cornet up top? I don't think it's beyond the bounds of possibility he plays Cornet as the number 9.
Small chance.
With Kudus on the right, Paqueta on the left.
Absolutely amazed.
But no Bowen, no Antonio. I don't think he definitely doesn't want to play Mubama from the start. Let's be honest.
Ings on 125k a week.
But even Moyes surely now is thinking, "Fuck me, I can't play Danny Ings up top on his own. Can I from the start?"
He'll try and shoehorn him in. I mean, how long did he persist with Thomas Souček, who was stinking the joint out last season?
Yeah.
He's a stubborn cunt.
I know. I'm trying to convince myself that he might just chuck Cornet up top. If he chucks Cornet up top, I would at least say, you know what? All right, fair play. Because at least he's recognized he cannot play Ings up top on his own. So if he was to play Cornet up there, Kudus right, Paqueta left, the usual midfield three, usual back four, usual keeper, that should be more than enough to deal with Burnley. That's still a decent side, and who knows? Cornet against his old club, he's fucking almost nailed on to score, wouldn't he?
Mm.
Yeah, it would be a very left field decision. He used to do it quite a lot, I think. Moyes.
He's used him as a four. Moyes knows he can use Cornet as a number 9. He's done it before.
Yeah, I think he used to do it quite a lot. He used to do quite sort of left field decisions. He used to sort of say things in a press conference and do something. You didn't know quite exactly what lineup he would come out with. And it's over the last sort of 2 seasons where he's backtracked on that and he's gone to be very, very sort of predictable. So I would like him to be. I'd love the old Moyes to come back. The Moyes, from a few seasons ago, we played really good football and all the players would look fantastic, and he wasn't predictable in the media, and he was a little bit cards close to his chest. But nowadays, it's a bit like, well, you know who's kind of going to play, even if they're not playing particularly well. You know if they're going to, they're going to play every game. So I would like to see him do things a bit differently. He's done it a couple of times this season. I think when we went 4-4-2 against Brentford away, I respected him for that because I thought, you know what, at least he's trying something different, and it's very unboys-like recently for him to do something like that. So when he does change things, I'll give him his respect and a pat on the back, because even if he does lose the game, I'm thinking, you know what, at least you've tried to do something different. So if he did try something like that, which is, it's not beyond the realms of possibility, you've got so used to Ings being up front and being, isolated, etc., that you just sort of go, ugh, and do it again, innit? So, that's it's predictable, and hopefully he's not so predictable tomorrow. But we'll see.
We surely will. We'll find out at 2 p.m. tomorrow, and I'll be tuning in at 11:30 to your channel tomorrow, Gatesy, to see what your score prediction is. He's keeping his cards close to his chest. Fair enough. Yeah. Well, listen, I really appreciate both joining me. Very interesting discussion.
Did you start at 10 tonight, by the way?
Just after 10 p.m. Yeah.
Right, because I thought it was half 10. That's why I turned up so late. I apologise.
No, it's always 10. Always 10. Always 10, Luke. Yeah, go back. Check the
It's
fucking
baby
archives.
brain.
Check the
Blame your
archives.
baby brain.
It's genuinely my brain at the same time as well. But also, I've missed the last 2 weeks. I've been messaging Tommy rather than messaging me, and for the last 2 weeks he hasn't been available, which has been really ironic. And then I completely forgot that tonight was going on. And suddenly he popped me a message on Twitter, and I was like, "Oh yeah, that's going on tonight." I'll wait till half 10. Why I thought it was half 10, I don't know.
No idea. But listen, better late than never.
Yeah.
But thanks very much to both of you, and as always, thanks to everybody
Not a problem.
in the live chat for all your comments and any questions. Really appreciate you being here as always. And also, of course, thanks if you're watching this back. Anyone who can take a second to just hit the like button, I really appreciate it. And it just helps to boost the program around the algorithm there, and more people will see it, and hopefully more people take a look. So fingers crossed for a great result tomorrow. And until next week, as always,